Welcome to Parent Squad. April is Autism Acceptance Month, and today we want to talk about what a diagnosis means for families and resources that are available. I'm actually joined by Dr. Jim Dalton, who's president and CEO of Damar, along with a Damar family, Chad and Lindsay. Thank you all for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Yes, an important conversation. So, Dr. Jim, we want to start with you. Just how common is an autism diagnosis?
Yeah, thanks. And Felicia, thanks for having us. It's so nice to be here. Let's put it in perspective. I've been at Damar for 24 years. When I came to Damar in about 2002, the incident of autism was about 1 in every 200 children. Well, today it's 1 in 36, and if you're a boy, it's about 1 in 25. So it is really, the rate of autism, the way we have identified, has really gone up over the years.
So a lot of people are already hearing stats like that. They're like, oh my goodness,
Yeah.
It's increasing. Do you think it's, what would you attribute that to? Or is it the fact that we have more research and we have more ways to diagnose it? We know more.
Yeah, yes, and yes. One, we're better at diagnosing it. We don't get it confused with ADHD and other things like that like we used to. So we're much better. But that's not a full account for the increase. We've also seen an increase in very severe autism that we always have known as autism. So even at Damar, we've seen that number go up significantly. So it's two things. We have more autism as humans than we ever have before, and also we're better at depicting it and diagnosing it.
Okay, well, we certainly pray for our doctors, our researchers, our scientists, healthcare.
Yes, we do.
We pray for that. Meanwhile, Damar has boots on the ground. They are doing the work to really try and support these families and the children. Can we talk a little bit more about what Damar does?
Yeah, I mean, we're honored to serve families like we have here today, and it's a privilege. Damar is an essential, very large organization headquartered here in central Indiana, in Indianapolis, but does work all across the state. Our mission, and we're committed, is to providing support for individuals that are faced with challenges related to developmental disabilities and autism. We do that across the lifespan, so some of our youngest clients are 2 years old, and we also work in geriatrics. So we do that in a variety of ways, from very intensive programs to outpatient programs, community clinic programs, foster care, the whole gamut, even supported living for adults. So we do a lot of things here. We serve about, I check it every day. Today we're serving 1,838 people, and we're doing that with about 1,400 staff members here in Indiana.
A lot of people and a big team to really make that happen. And I appreciate you sharing about geriatric, because a lot of times you hear about the diagnosis as children, and today we're talking about a family that has young children, but the needs are still important even when you're talking about adults. And so to know that there's a place for that and that work is happening is important. So what signs or symptoms should parents look for when it comes to this?
Sure, if you're a young parent and you have your child, I think autism is a neurodevelopmental disability, and early on we really look for two things. It's really social and emotional and language based. So by 6 months old we want to see kids cooing. By the age of 12, we want them to be able to kind of say, babbling a little bit, mama, baba, dada, those types of things. By 1.5, we want, they should be able to play peekaboo, right? Peekaboo.
Yes.
And that they're anticipating and they're kind of following social, emotionally. So, we expect them to be responsive to parents' love, and they're nurturing and calming them. So we really recommend that, you not get overly worried about things, because kids develop at different rates. But any concerns at all about development, we always recommend you talk to your pediatrician about that.
Yes, keep that conversation going and keep
absolutely.
the conversation open. We have a family here to share a little bit about their journey. Chad and Lindsay are joining us, and they want to tell us about Maddox, their little Maddox. How old is Maddox now?
Maddox just turned 9.
Okay, and tell us what has been your experience. He is autistic, and he was just telling us about some of the things, the differences that many parents see in their children. What was your specific experience?
I noticed when Maddox was about 6 months old, he wasn't answering to his name. He seemed to be in his own world a little bit. He was more interested in objects than people, but I wasn't convinced yet that something was necessarily wrong. I do have an older child, so typical development, it was something that I was familiar with. But by the time he got to about 12 months, I was pretty positive we were dealing with autism. He didn't point. He didn't follow a point. You know, most kids, if you say, oh, like, look, there's an airplane, they look and they look back to you. He didn't do that. He had one goal, and that was to move as fast as he could, didn't look back, no sense of fear. He was just doing what he was doing.
Certainly. And what's been your experience?
Well, thank goodness for her, because I didn't see these things, and because I took what we heard from the pediatrician. I took the things that I was told from family members and friends, and he's just delayed, he'll get there, all boys are like that, everybody's different.
Yeah.
And she was pretty adamant from an early spot that, hey, there's something different, and you know, and he was my first, and so I had nothing to base it on, and so, you know, ultimately a good partner should have listened to his wife, but I also was listening to the pediatricians and all the people that I put as a very high level of explanation of no, you know, hey, he's fine, and ultimately, even deep down, I knew there was something too, because it wasn't a lot of things that she pointed out. I mean, I couldn't deny.
Yeah, I just really appreciate you all's transparency, because you're not alone in this journey and this walk, and figuring out what to do physically in the tangible world, but also figuring out what to do mentally and emotionally and to process it. I can imagine that that's certainly a journey, and trying to figure out how to do it as a couple in a marriage. We know it's all hard enough. You all then got introduced to Damar at what point in time?
Well, we had gone to the pediatrician, we've gone to neurologist, all this up until he was about 2.5, demanding answers. He also has epilepsy, so he had seizures. They all told us it's not autism. You know, he's a boy, he'll catch up, not a big deal. Put him in preschool, all these things. So we put him in preschool, and within a couple weeks, they pulled us aside and said, you know, your son's autistic. And I knew it. It broke my heart for somebody else to finally say it, but I called the pediatrician and said, you know, I know you keep saying no, but I want a referral. We got a referral for a diagnostic evaluation at Riley. The wait list was 6 years, so we had decided to go privately.
We did.
And the next week, we found a private evaluator, and they gave us the diagnosis, the paperwork, and they kind of sent us on our way. Like, do what you want with it. Yes, he has severe autism. That's that. Yeah. Pediatrician had no input. They didn't know what to recommend. So we actually live close to Damar.
Yeah, so I called them. And they were incredible, like from the day one.
Dr. Jim, I imagine you get a lot of families like this who may or may not have been diagnosed. We've heard about these long wait lists, but you're just looking for where to turn. What's the next step? What do I do?
Yeah, there's no training to be a child or to be a parent of a child with autism. You never can prepare for that. So a lot of support is needed, a lot of education is needed, and a lot of parent support from other parents, like your audience is hearing today about their experience. So it's really important that they have the support. I mean, they're really heroes when it comes to raising the challenges that they've been faced with, and many thousands of families are faced with. So that support is really important.
And support for the entire family.
Absolutely.
Like you said, it's the education, but you also have to build these parents up so that they can better support their child too.
Yes.
Sure.
I imagine that's the experience you got at Damar.
Yes, they have done parent training. We have support groups. Just the day-to-day interaction with the other parents even helps us connect. And when one of us is having a hard time, you know, maybe it's something that we've been through with Maddox or they've been through, and they can kind of guide us. So that's been pivotal to have. But it gave us a direction. We didn't have any support. And honestly, it's a very lonely, scary time.
Yep.
Chad, this is your boy.
It is.
This is your boy.
He was my first, and I was excited. My dad was hell-bent that he was going to be a baseball player and all these things, and I mean, that was my excitement, too.
Yeah, and he's still your boy.
He still is.
Yeah, what would you say to other parents, other dads? I think that is something in and of itself to wrap their head around, but it's somebody, even if it's just one person who might be walking a similar journey. What do you want to tell them?
It makes you a better person, 100%. And, you know, all these dreams and aspirations that I had from, you know, throwing Little League or being a coach, or, you know, I just had to find ways to accept where I'm at and to adjust. And, you know, and we've done that as a family. I mean, it changed the trajectory of our family, 100%. We have another son that we're trying to raise that, you know, without a neurotypical sibling to work with and learn from, we're teaching him separately. Yeah. And so it's
It's a balancing
It's
act.
possible. It's possible. That's the best thing I think that Damar even kind of helped us with evaluating time and making more time to say, you don't have to figure everything out today. But if you do a little bit today, a little bit tomorrow, eventually you're going to feel like you're taking steps, and it's been a blessing. I mean, honestly, it's made us a better people.
And it sounds like it's also some joy on the other side of this initial diagnosis.
Oh, yeah.
I think that's what people need to see. Life
Yes.
doesn't go how you planned it. I
Yes.
can certainly
Yes.
attest to that. Doesn't necessarily go how you plan it, but there's joy on the other side of some tough moments.
It takes time to get there. The first few years of his life, I'll be honest, I cried almost every day, just trying to figure it out. I mean, you want to be able to fix things for your child. You don't want your child to struggle. And a typical life is hard enough. And Damar gave us hope, and they gave us structure, a foundation that Maddox took off immediately. Like we learned safety and just some self-control, and he didn't even answer to his name at 3. The eloping. I mean, he's fast. He's fast. But now he's much better.
And how old is he now?
He's 9.
He's 9, and what's the experience like now?
He listens. He knows his name. He uses a AAC device, which is like an iPad, but it has pictures and letters, and he is pretty fluent on that. He tries his hardest to speak. He also has apraxia, so he's still considered nonverbal, but he knows what he wants.
He does, and we've developed our own language almost, and words that we know, like Fifi for pizza, or Wawa, like
Yeah.
So it's kind of, we feel like the newborn stage in some ways, but ultimately we're building our own communication that we've always had.
I mean, I've never had a conversation with my son, and he's 9. But I can tell you, and I have 3 children, my connection to him and understanding of him is deeper than it is with my neurotypical children, because we have to get each other like that.
Yes.
He knows me, and I know him better than anybody.
Yeah, that's your boy.
That's my baby.
Yes,
That is
that's
my
your baby.
Yes.
And you have had a conversation. It's just different.
Yes. Without words. Yep.
It's just
we
different.
are connected.
Yeah. Dr. Jim, what do you want to say? What do you want to share just about other families?
Well,
I see, even though I'm just getting to know them, I see just the development.
Yeah, aren't they wonderful?
Yeah, and as parents, I should say, I see the development.
Well, I mean, my advice is, and you've heard it here, early identification is really important. Parents, trust your guts. Sometimes pediatricians, as you said, will not pick up on it. They're going to be okay, and everyone develops differently, especially boys. So you'll see that, but trust your gut. Early identification.
You know your child.
Yes, they know their child best. So, and again, there's help out there. There's a lot of help. Finding the right provider is important, but when you do, great things and wonderful things can happen to create joy in the world. So you guys have done a great job.
Yeah.
Yes,
You are your child's best advocate, their own best advocate. Thank you all for being here.
Absolutely.
Thank you
for
for
having us.
sharing. Thank you for the work you're doing in the community, the work you all are doing in the community,
absolutely.
and just being open enough to share the journey to hopefully give some light to some other families too, because that's important.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, so an important conversation. We have more on Damar at WTHR.com/Parent Squad. Stay with us.